I was given many duties. One of them is to chair cabinet committees. I've chaired 35 cabinet committees and successfully prosecuted 333 agenda items to the cabinet. If anybody wants to call that underperformance, then my English fails me. Number two, I'm in charge of intergovernmental relations. Since I became the deputy president, I've created the most conducive environment ever between the two levels of government. Before we came to office, the county governments and the national government were at war. And through good leadership, through bringing people together, I was able to put our county commissioners together with our governors and tell them that we serve the same people. I have successfully held IBEC meetings. We have discussed the division of revenue bill, and the devolution agenda is ongoing. That is Rigathi Gachagua who has done that. Rigathi Gachagua is in charge of international development partnerships. I have chaired the Development Partners Forum. I've held meetings with our development partners. I have made all the necessary interventions between the National Treasury, the Attorney General's Office, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to unlock billions of dollars that were held because of bureaucracy, because there was no liaison between the development partners and the national government. I am in charge of constitutional commissions and independent offices. I have held meetings with constitutional commissions and independent offices, the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, the Inspector General of Police. For the record, there was a very big dispute between the Inspector General of Police and the National Police Service. Through my office, I mediated and solved the problems. They used to exchange insults in the press. You have not seen that anymore. That is work that I did. I have successfully mediated differences between the Ministry of Education and the Teacher Service Commission. And you can see they are working in harmony. Again, Sam, right. I'm in charge of the development program by World Bank of about $3 billion for Northern and Northeastern Kenya. I have successfully held meetings and organized for fast tracking of programs in Northern and Northeastern Kenya for those counties funded by the World Bank. Again, that is work in my office. In matters coffee, the president assigned me to lead coffee reforms. He did not tell me to take over the Ministry of Agriculture or to take over the Ministry of Cooperative Development. He asked me to initiate and drive coffee reforms. I held a very successful coffee conference in Meru and brought all the partners, all the stakeholders together. And out of that conference, we have worked with those stakeholders and come up with the Coffee Bill 2023 that is now before the National Assembly. In that bill, we have recommended the re-establishment of the Coffee Board of Kenya to market coffee for farmers so that they can get away from private entrepreneurs. We have recommended the revival of the Coffee Research Foundation so that we can work on variety and disease-resistant varieties. And we have come up with a direct sales settlement where farmers sell their coffee directly and receive their proceeds directly. Under my watch, we have reopened the Nairobi Coffee Exchange, and auctions are taking place every week. Once the Coffee Bill 2023 is approved by Parliament, accepted by the President, all the reforms that we have been working on will be complete, and farmers will get their money. And I also want to say, through our intervention, a lot of coffee societies are getting over 100 shillings in terms of pricing. Where we have challenges. That's
per kilo?
Yeah, per kilo. And our ideal price is about 150, and we'll get there. There is a factory, I think, in Gariama in Kirinyaga with about 122 shillings. And I want to assure you that once we have another bill before Parliament, the Cooperative Bill of 2023, to deal with the governance and integrity issues around cooperative societies. Once that bill has been approved and assented by the President, it will strengthen leadership in cooperative societies. Where you see a lot of demonstrations, it has nothing to do with the pricing. It has a lot to do with the mismanagement of coffee farmers' earnings by wrong officials. The Cooperative Bill of 2023 will address that. And that is why people must know. I've seen some politicians trying to attack me about coffee. Where they come from, they don't even have coffee. They don't understand coffee. I was educated with the coffee proceeds myself. And I know once this bill becomes law, and I'll assist in the implementation of that law, farmers will be very happy. But I want to tell people, the fact that I was overseeing coffee reforms did not make me the CS for agriculture or for cooperative development. The day-to-day running of the coffee subsector in terms of production, in terms of yield, in terms of quality, belongs to the Ministry of Agriculture. The day-to-day running of marketing coffee, overseeing the cooperative societies, that docket is in the State Department of Cooperatives. Okay. What I'm doing is overseeing reforms. In not as tea, Sam. Yeah. I held the tea conference in Kericho. Again, we brought all the stakeholders. And I want to tell you, there were a big problem because of the Tea Act that was brought by Senator Cheriot that could not be implemented because various stakeholders had gone to court. Through my intervention, I have successfully negotiated all those cases to be dropped. Now the Tea Act will be implemented to the letter, and coffee farmers will get a return on investment. Okay. We have had challenges in Mombasa about tea that has not been sold. I found some leaders here going to incite people in the Mount Kenya region that tea has not been sold in Mombasa because Rigathi has failed. For the avoidance of doubt, all the tea from the Mount Kenya region, that is called the Eastern region, has been sold because of very high quality. Where we have had a challenge is tea from the Western region, Kericho, Bomet, Nandi. Because what happened is that they put a reserve price. The reserve price was too high against the quality. And therefore, the stocks were not moving. I went there, and we have removed the reserve price, brought it a little bit down so that the stocks can move. And I want to tell you, I was just looking at the figures. I was just looking at the figures here. Out of the reforms that we have done in the tea sector, you know, the coffee, the tea bonus for this year, you know, if you look at a factory called Kaba, last year the bonus was 41 shillings. Today it is 50 this year. In Kagwe, in the Lari, it was 44. Now it is 44.25. In Theta it was 42, it is 50. In Gachege, it was 40, it is 46. I can say that we are having an increase in terms of bonus. Where we have challenges, and you have seen many demonstrations, again, those demonstrations are part of the reforms that we have made of educating the farmer. Right. It is where the tea directors have increased the cost of production. They are having too many travels, they are having too many allowances, so the cost of production is eating on the profit of the tea farmer. Again, because of these reforms that we have done in the tea sector, farmers are aware of what is happening. In matters alcoholic drinks, in terms of illicit alcohol and drugs, if there is one program the government of President William Ruto can boast about, is that program that the president asked me to spearhead. Our young people are dying because of illicit brews. And I held many meetings. I held a meeting in Nyeri, I held one in Nakuru, I held one in Chuka, I held one in Mombasa. I have held countless meetings here with KRA, with KEBS, with the Counterfeit Authority, with KRA, and we came up with very comprehensive programs on how to deal with illicit alcohol. And I can tell you, and you can go and ask for yourself, out of those interventions, we have, to a great extent, eradicated the consumption of illicit brews. And it has been very successful. Unfortunately, there has been some lull of late in terms of enforcement. Right. I want to ask our officers in the field to keep their eyes on the ball and make sure this program is successful. We closed all factories that were manufacturing these illicit brews. Okay. There was an attempt to reopen them, and I raised the matter with the president. I want to thank him because he intervened. And those factories were not reopened, the ones that were producing illicit brews. But I want to say that is a program that has been very, very, very successful. Some, in terms of duties that have been given to me by the president, on coming to office, he asked me to chair the emergency drought response team. And I successfully mobilized resources across the country during the worst drought in 40 years of this country's history. And I made sure not a single person died. I was all over the country. I was in Garissa, I was in Wajir, I was in Tana River, I was in Kajiado. I mobilized food. Again, at that capacity the president gave me. During the El Nino rains, again I was able to mobilize resources. Our development partners, our county governments, our national government, and to make sure that no Kenyan died.
Okay.
And to make sure that people got support the way they are required.
Right.
So anybody, I would like somebody to ask me, out of the work that have been given by the president, the 8 or 9 functions or so, which one have I failed? President has asked me to represent him in international engagements.
Okay. I get that. Deputy President, so you also said, and we're getting to the tail end of this interview, you also assigned the role of Nairobi Rivers Commission.
Yes.
Just recently, we saw, should I say, a relaunch of a program to clean up the river. Were you there?
No, I was not there.
Why? It